Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my first Q&A video after seeing the Season 6 finale for Game of Thrones leading into Season 7. And this one we're going to start with talking about and answering whether or not we think we will see Jon and Daenerys Targaryen be together. And spoiler warning if you have not seen the finale for Game of Thrones Season 6 yet. So leading into Season 7, got all kinds of great questions from you guys. Thank you guys for all the great questions. Keep sending them to me. And I'll have Q&As for most of this week, probably almost every day for you guys for Game of Thrones. Because there's just so much to talk about after that incredible Season 6 finale. A lot of things have changed in the series. Season 6 definitely went out with a bang. And there's lots of things to talk about and discuss for Season 7. Of course, I've done the predictions video already for Season 7 on where I think the general direction of the show is going, because at this point there's really nothing to base it on. We have to use our kind of minds and think about where they're going to go with it, and we may be right, we may be wrong. It's what it is. So for this one, we're going to start with this topic of Jon and Daenerys possibly being together. This question was initially from DaeJavon Wiley, as well as some other people have asked this question in the comments, so I wanted to include it in the video. And you guys can write your answers below as well, too, to these questions and start up the discussion. So for this one, this is a bit in the future. We're talking about like late Season 7, Season 8, something like that, I would think. But will Jon and Daenerys Targaryen be together? So Jon, we have to change his last name now. Instead of referring to him as Jon Snow, we have to refer to him as Jon Targaryen, because it's pretty much official at this point that R+L=J. Tower of Joycing was, great to see in the Season 6 finale, the kind of official confirmation, so to speak, that it is correct, and it changes a lot of things for Jon, going from just him being a bastard to now him being a Targaryen. Even though he was already kind of a name king and all this stuff and he doesn't know about it, I imagine Bran will try to get the message to him and try to let him know that he in fact is really is somebody. I mean, he's somebody already, but even by lineage, he's somebody. He's not just, an average bastard or whatever, or Eddard's bastard or whatever. None of that was true, and I think it fits really well, and it's really great for the series if you look at it, because Eddard was always a man of honor, and he was always a man loyal and everything like that. So for him to have had a bastard is like, his it's something. It's something outside of his character to have done that, and now we find out that actually that's not the truth. It wasn't outside of his character, and that he actually Jon is not his, even though he raised him. So it's what it is. So it's great stuff. So Jon and Daenerys Targaryen. So the question goes like this. DaeJavon worded it like this: even Dany said that she will need to make an alliance by marriage. And of course, she left Dario in Mereen because she didn't want him to become a hindrance to that. And they included that scene in the finale as it's a very important scene. It sets us up for her kind of understanding what she's going to have to do. Jon Snow is now the King of the North and half a Targaryen, who are famous for marrying relatives. Marrying Snow will unite the North and South against the true enemy, the White Walkers. Them marrying will also reunite the North with the rest of the Seven Kingdoms again, since they're independent. How obvious can this get? So this is a pretty good insight, pretty good comment, and that is true that the Targaryen, they do that. If you look at all the wikis and everything, you can see that they've done that for hundreds of years, I don't know, thousands, that they will marry, kind of keep the lineage, the bloodline kind of clean. It's kind of messed up. some stuff in Game of Thrones, a little messed up, incest and stuff like that, but for them, I guess this is a common thing, that if now Jon is confirmed that he's Targaryen, and of course he's King of the North now, it makes a lot of sense, or as people said in the comments, King of the North. It makes sense that they would do it. It makes sense that, Daenerys and Jon would be together. Is it obvious? I don't know if it's obvious, because Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones, and even if something seems obvious, it may not necessarily be. But in terms of this idea, it sounds like probably him being the most likely candidate for a husband for her, knowing that she's going to have to wed once she gets to Westeros. I can't think of anybody else, especially at this point, that would be as fitting, as him. I mean, there's lots of other male characters in Westeros, but I can't think of anybody, and of course, he's single and everything. So in terms of a relationship with the two getting married as like a political wedding, it sounds to me like that is a great theory, and it fits like a glove. It fits 100%. So in terms of how I feel about it as a viewer, I feel like it's kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, their personalities are quite a bit different. And, I mean, anytime you hear that people have the same last name or are born from the same kind of lineage, it's weird. I want to reject it right away because it's just so weird compared to normal life and the way we live. That's just so wrong and weird, right? But for Game of Thrones, it's a great theory. I think it makes perfect sense. And I think that he's the most likely person right now that we would see her with. I can't think of anybody else that would bring the amount of power and force and experience to Daenerys' side than that. And plus, they're both heroes, so we gotta find them being, like on each other's side at some point. We would think, unless who would we root for as fans if Jon's, his whole forces, everybody he has, the wildlings and everybody, the Vale and everybody, were to face against Daenerys. I mean, it just I can't see that either. So I can't see that happening. So it seems like this fits best for the story and what we're going to see in the next couple seasons. So it's definitely a great theory and a great message from everybody who had sent that through. I don't really like the two of them together as a couple because of the name and because of, I don't know, it just feel weird, but I guess it's something where, she knows she's probably going to be married with somebody, and, it sounds like Jon is probably, at least for now, the most likely candidate to be. But definitely write your comments below, guys. I want to hear what you think about this. So as a fan, I don't really like it, but it makes the most sense of anything I've heard right now for a possible husband candidate for Daenerys, and almost vice versa for Jon after, of course, Ygritte, and he hasn't been, he hasn't had anybody after that, so Night's Watch and all that and everything, so was sworn to, so anyway, great question. Write your comments below, let me know what you guys think. 2 parts, do you think he's most likely, or is there someone else you can think of that would be more likely? And then second part is, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's weird? Do you feel like the two don't get along together, or wouldn't go together? It's definitely interesting. So write your comments below. I can't wait to see what you guys say about this one. I want to read through them. Next one's from Sujo Kills, and he says, he also said, I think Dany is going to marry Jon. So I include that too, just to give him credit, because he messaged that early. Katie Rains says, Q&A, would you rather immediately see the next episode of The Walking Dead or the next episode of Game of Thrones? At this point, Game of Thrones. And there's so much like fighting in the channel between Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. I think I should almost do a which series is better, Game of Thrones after season 6 versus The Walking Dead after season 6, because they both just finished there. It's weird that they started the same year, and both series are so incredible. So I should probably do a video on that. Maybe I will, this week or next week, something like that, and kind of go through it, because some of the Walking Dead viewers were confused that I had said that the last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones are the best episodes of any series I've ever seen. That's because I tell it like it is, and we can get more into that in a video. But notice I'm saying, best I've ever seen, and what is the best and what is your favorite can be different. So we'll get into that more if I decide to do a video on that. But just to be clear, I'm talking in terms of quality and in terms of being objective, not subjective as to which you personally have, favoritism towards. Just watch both. Which do you think is better? And done better, in other words. Next one's from Lee Luch v. Britannia. And he says, for all of you who didn't like that episode, shame. I like that. I want to include it. And I don't see how people couldn't, unless how you couldn't like the episodes, the last 2, unless it's like you don't like the direction the show is taken, and you don't like the fact that Cersei won because she initiated, she went for it, she took an action of war, and the faith was not prepared for that. They were not willing to go to war like that, and she was. And they just did not know what they were getting themselves into. They did not know who they were messing with and how cold of a person that person can be. But it's like real life too. If you watch any shows, like for example Dateline or something, the person who fires, the person who shoots, they're going to win that initial thing, and then we have law enforcement there afterwards to find the person who did what they did and arrest them. In a perfect world, you could stop the person from doing it to begin with, right? But in this type of world, Game of Thrones, where you don't have a government like that, you have kings and queens. They make the rules, they make the laws, they make the decisions. So it's a different type of society than we live in now, where you have elected officials, you have people that are employed to ensure, so it's totally different, and the situation's different. And so I can see if people didn't like that, but for me, man, it was an incredible last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, man. Probably the 2 best episodes of any series ever, just amazing. Stephen B. Smith said Lana Mormont is the best character ever, and I gotta agree with you. She's pretty awesome, man. I love the speech she gave in the season finale. I think again, like I said in the review, I knew I was gonna miss stuff. It was almost a 30-minute review, and there was still stuff I left out. I loved that speech from her, and especially when she's talking to the guys, to the houses that didn't join the battle right away, Glover and that was really funny, and she totally called them out on it, and she totally was completely freaking Dawn about it. It was pretty awesome. Adriana Ariba says, I predicted that Tommen might kill himself literally seconds before it happened, LOL. And yeah, I saw that too, because in my death predictions video, I didn't think that he was going to be killed off, right? I didn't think that he would be. But then people corrected me and they said, "Wait, Trev, you forgot about the kind of the prophecy from the witch that tells Cersei that all of her children will die," right? And kind of laughs at her and everything. And so we saw it happen by his own hand, so to speak. He did it to himself, which is kind of crazy. But it felt so natural for him, because he's always been that kind of character where he just kind of goes along with things, and now he's seeing something happen that he is just not prepared to deal with, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And he pretty much hates his mom at that time, I feel like, even though it's so weird to hate your mom. Like who hates their mom? But we don't have Cersei as a mom. So, at least most of us don't. So it's what it is. Eric Hollingback says, I heard Kevin Lannister, some people get upset I say Kevin, died as well. So Kevin Lannister died as well. It sure looks like it. He was there from what I saw. Same with Marjorie, same with like all the Tyrells pretty much, except for Olenna. And I mean, she in one fell swoop. And I love the clothing too that she wore and everything, because it was like, Cersei, she's even wearing like her war, like it was so brilliant. She's wearing like her Lannister, like if she's going to war, like she's wearing, like Jaime will put on his, his gear and everything. She's like wearing her gear and she's ready for the war, and yet all she has to do, she's so powerful, is stand there with a good view and a glass of wine and drink her wine as she sees everything crumble. It's just such like a classically powerful, I want to say, villainous scene. Something out of like Disney and fairy tales would be jealous of this kind of scene. Like it was just so evil queen. I mean, ready to go to war. Just crazy, man. Just amazing. As such, Scooter Chain Chomp said, greatest show ever produced on television. This is just a masterpiece, and I'd have to agree with him. It's a masterpiece. 2 houses extinct officially: the Tyrells and the Boltons, said John Doe. And they're not 100%, but I mean, it's like, well, the Boltons are. The Tyrells is like, they're pretty much too wiped out at this point. Crazy, man, crazy. Then we'll do one more, and I'll wrap it up for today's, and I'll have another one for you guys tomorrow. Got another great topic for tomorrow of what's going to happen with Jaime and Cersei, and could we see Jaime possibly become a queen slayer? So that'll be tomorrow. Heads up, if you're watching this late, it might already be posted if you want to see it. Beza Tensei says, Trev, how the hell was Varys and Dorne in one part of the episode, but on the ship with Dany at the end? I didn't see that. Did I miss that? Maybe I missed it. I'll have to look again. But there's a lot of teleporting this season. Jaime, especially compared to the earlier seasons, Jaime like goes and defeats the Blackfish in no time compared to the books when it takes forever. And goes and sees Walder, and then is back in King's Landing to see Cersei be crowned. It was just there's all kinds of that. They really picked up the pacing this season, and it seems like probably the 13th episode is correct. That's probably what we're going to get, which is sad, but it looks like it because the pacing has picked up so much, man. But that said, even though we're not going to get that many more episodes, only 13 episodes after this season 6, 13 left, I think we can pretty much guarantee they're going to be 13 with fast pacing of the best episodes of any series you've ever seen. Probably very few where, they're kind of more fillerish or they're more just kind of filling out the season. Probably very few of those. So I'm so excited, and I'm happy with that. So crazy stuff. Anyway, guys, write those comments below. I want to hear what you think about, especially the power couple. Let's hear about the power couple. What you think? I mean, that's like the ultimate power couple. And if you liked this Q&A, guys, don't forget, thumb it the hell up. Please thumb it up, share, favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, please subscribe at the bottom left to see more Game of Thrones videos from me. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow for another Q&A for Game of Thrones. This is Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See ya.